What's up, everyone? Good morning, good evening. If you're in Hungary, like Botond is, I'm in California. We're going to be talking to you about some Niners football for the next half hour. Last week, Botond made his debut on this show and came out firing hot takes. I mean, he was throwing Molotov cocktails, and I was a little skeptical, like, you know what? I think the Niners are going to bounce back and beat the Dolphins, but they didn't. He was right. So I'm bringing him back on. He's going to be a regular contributor. And what I'd like is to go through the big players on this team, the heavy hitters, starting with Kyle, and ask Botond to reassess them. Now that we've seen what the Niners have done through the first 5 games, what they did against the Dolphins last week, what is your opinion now of Kyle Shanahan? What do you think of him now, and what's going on?
At first, hey, everyone. I'm happy to be here right now. What I think about Kyle, as you can see if you saw our speech last time, I'm not a big fan of Kyle Shanahan, and it's not because he's not an offense guru or something like that. It's because his personality. Last time against the disastrous loss against Dolphins, I was like, okay, Jed will be a bit nervous after the contract extension that he gave to Kyle. And what I saw, and not a lot of people know that, but the head coach brings up the main decision that who will play on a match. And it started with not starting Witherspoon. I will talk about him later, but it was the main reason why we lost that game. The other thing was, if you have Raheem Mostert and Jerick McKinnon in your team, who are the first and the 6th best yards per attempt rushers in the league, then you just can't afford it not to run the ball, even though if you are behind the Dolphins, like 2 touchdowns or something like that, you just couldn't afford that. So it was
not just those 2. Let me interject real quick. The Niners have 6 players who are averaging more than 5 yards a carry right now. Mostert, McKinnon, Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, and Juszczyk. They have 6 options and a million different ways to run the ball. Keep going.
Yeah. So that was the first thing that I didn't like about the match. The second one was the decision that we will just pass the ball every time because we have panicked in the game. It was a horrible decision, I think. If I want to be optimistic about Jimmy, I would say that it was before of his ankle that he did poorly, but I don't think so.
Let me ask you about Kyle Shanahan's decision to pass and pass and pass and pass and pass and pass and pass. It seems out of character, but because he ran so much last year when he had something to prove and he was coaching for an extension, he got the extension. Now he has ultimate job security and he's like forgotten about the run game. I have like conspiracy theories about this because he's not dumb. He didn't all of a sudden like forget to run the ball. To me, he's looking for a scapegoat this year. And he wants the scapegoat to be Jimmy. I don't think he wants to be a kind of offense that runs every time. I think he wants to be balanced. And I think he feels like he's hamstrung by Jimmy Garoppolo. And now that he has ultimate job security, he's like hanging him out to dry. Like, look, guys, he's the reason. The throws are there. The receivers are open. We're paying him $27 million a year. And you want me to run the ball? Then why do we have him? Why are we paying all this money for this quarterback if everyone in the organization is telling me to get back to running the ball? I think part of Kyle wants to expose Jimmy right now.
Yeah, and that was a thing that I wrote down today when I wrote my preview about the Rams game for the Hungarian faithful. I said then too that it's a bit of conspiracy, but I think right now we are passing mainly because we want to take parts with Jimmy Garoppolo right now. I don't think that Kyle likes him. I'm like, okay, I got Jimmy. I will prove everyone that this guy is not a good football player. And somehow we can get into Kirk Cousins, my love. I want to get him. And this is the best way I can achieve my goals right now.
I agree. To me, it seems like Shanahan felt like he was stuck with Jimmy because ownership loved him, fans loved him, and he worked around Jimmy all year last year to the point where he called 8 passes in the NFC Championship game. Now, he probably feels like, why do I have to do that? Do I have to do that every year? Jimmy's on a year-to-year contract. I'm locked up for the next 6 years. You've invested in me more than you've invested in him. I'm going to expose him right here. I'm not that I'm going to like set him up for failure, but I'm not going to baby him anymore. I'm going to call the plays I want to call. I'm going to show on the film after the game that guys are open, and he's just not executing and isn't worth the $27 million a year we pay him. I really think there's some of that going on. So we'll talk about the Rams game in a minute. It's like everyone expects the Niners to come out running and win this game, running the ball. Does Kyle want to run the ball, or does he have ulterior motives? Is there something else going on? I don't know. I mean, you'd think he would have ran the ball last week. You'd think he would have ran the ball the week before. I mean, where are the end arounds and jet sweeps? The NFL has not stopped that play from the 49ers once in like a year and a half, and Shanahan will call it like every other week. I have some serious questions about his desire to win at all costs this year.
That's the main thing right now, because everyone expected this team to win a lot of games this year. Maybe not 13, because our schedule is like horror for the next few weeks, I think. But no one expected that Kyle just stops being Kyle, stops being creative. I just couldn't think anything else that he just wants to take part with Jimmy and get a new quarterback that he likes right now. I know it's a conspiracy, but I just can't find any other reasons why he does that right now.
I mean, there's so many reasons to run the ball. The offensive line can't pass protect. The quarterback's hurt. The defense is hurt. You want the defense on the bench as much as possible. You want to win the time of possession. You're averaging 5 yards a carry. There's a million reasons to run the ball. And Kyle's like, well, we're down 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, so we can't anymore. Like, what are you talking about? Anyway, so yeah, it's like Kyle, we have no questions about him as a coordinator, but the questions we have are like as a head coach. Because if he really is trying to expose Jimmy Garoppolo, then he's hurting his team. He's not a leader. I mean, a coordinator with an agenda would do something like that. A head coach would never dream of doing something like that, because you're hurting your own team. You're sacrificing this season for better years to come, theoretically, with Kirk Cousins. Okay. I mean, can you imagine how mad the Niners fans would be if Kyle Shanahan actually traded for Kirk Cousins in the next 6 months? How mad? They'd be furious for good reason.
I can only talk in the name of the Hungarian fans. We would be, I don't know. I said them, if we trade for Kirk, I would go and be a fan of the Cowboys right now. So,
okay, enough of Jimmy. I mean, enough of Kyle. What do you think of Jimmy after seeing him against the Dolphins? I was extremely surprised that he played like that. Has your opinion of him changed or been cemented even further? What do you think?
Nope. I think right now that everything that I have said last time stands. So yeah, he just lost his confidence. Kai just doesn't seem like he helps him to get it back. It's like he's frightened in the pocket right now.
Yeah, I agree. He seems scared.
Makes his reads properly, so he just looks at one side of the field. He just reads the route runners too fast. He just doesn't wait the route to get into where it should go. And these things could be huge problems if we are going to play against Rams. So,
oh my God. He has been playing scared all season. He played scared against the Cardinals. What's he going to look like after the first hit he takes from Aaron Donald? Absolutely. To me, what I see from him is a fragile quarterback. He's fragile. He's falling apart. He can't take the hits in the NFL. He takes a lot of them. He doesn't protect himself particularly well. He's not as mobile as he was before the ACL injury. He's not a super quick decision maker. He holds the ball a little too long and gets himself in trouble. And when his first read isn't open, you can see him panic. I mean, I still can't get over the pirouette he did in the pocket against the Cardinals. People talk about the ankle, the injury. It's like, no, week 1, that was the worst thing he did. And then missing the throw to Kendrick Bourne that was wide open to win the game. In a lot of ways, that was his worst performance. And I don't know what happened to this guy. Maybe it's just he played with a lot of courage before he got paid, and then he got that contract, and it's like, well, now it's time to protect myself. I mean, maybe I would be like that if I was a quarterback, but it seems like the guy he was in 2017, he had a little bit of fearlessness to him. He would take throws. He would make throws and take hits afterwards without really flinching. Now it's like he's chucking and ducking.
Yeah, I think he doesn't realize that this year is a contract year for him, just like 2017 was.
Right.
Or even if he realized that, I don't think that he would like to stay in this team anymore, or it looks like he doesn't want to stay on this team anymore. I don't know why.
Agree.
Because if
I know why.
if I would want a new contract, I would give my heart, my hands, my legs, everything I have to have my team, my brothers win again. And right now, I don't see that in Jimmy.
I think it's pretty clear that Kyle doesn't like him.
Yeah,
I think it's when the head coach has made it clear that he's unsatisfied with you over and over and over again. And you came from the Patriots where Bill Belichick was saying, you're the next Tom Brady. I mean, like, think about it. Like, imagine in the 80s, right? If Steve Young's getting developed by Bill Walsh and Bill Walsh telling him every day, you're not there yet, but you're going to be the next Joe Montana and you're going to lead this team to Super Bowls. And then all of a sudden, the Niners trade Steve Young to the Jets in 1990. And he's like, whoa, I'm going from the Niners to being the heir apparent to Joe Montana on the best team in the league to go into the Jets and some no-name coach telling me I'm not good enough. Bill Walsh thought I was good enough. Bill Walsh thought I was special. Now I'm on the Jets and I'm the problem. I can see Jimmy being like, you know what? Let me just go back to New England. I need to change the scenery because for whatever reason, I'm being unfairly dumped on in Santa Clara. You guys were 1-10 before I came here. Your guys' record without me is abysmal. Go ahead. Let me go back to New England and build up my confidence with Bill Belichick, who really likes me, and get away from Kyle, who doesn't for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, if I'm thinking of it, I'm like, it's just playing with thoughts that just imagine if Sean McVay is the head coach of this team right now. Because if I try to look back last year, Goff didn't have the confidence. He was not like Jimmy right now, but he was close to it. And
agree.
And look at the decent job that McVay made in the offseason to get him back on track. I think that's personality thing which Kyle misses the most right now. And while he's missing that, we are missing that too.
Okay. Let's expand the conversation again. We've been talking about the Niners' lack of leadership since last week, and there's a total void there. And Jimmy bears responsibility. He's the franchise quarterback. Kyle Shanahan bears responsibility. He's the head coach, not just the offensive coordinator. What about the owner? I mean, he is not in the limelight. He's not on the field. But we know Jed York's history. We know what he's done to dismantle other good teams that he's had. And now we know that he left Sunday's game at halftime, down 30-7. Now, Eddie DeBartolo, Al Davis, if they were in a position where they were getting blown out, they wouldn't leave. They'd be waiting at the coach's shower after the game. They wouldn't even let the coaches put pants on. They'd say, look, we got to talk right now. Call your wives. Tell them you're not coming home tonight. We're having a meeting now. I'll order some pizzas. We're going to figure this out now. And what Al Davis and Eddie D would ask these guys is, what do you not have that I can give you? Let me know. Is there something that you need that I can give you? Because if there's not, then you guys are really screwing up. And the other thing about Al Davis is he could talk to coaches on their level because he was a coach in the 60s. If Jed York were to stay at the game and throw a meeting afterward, what would he even say? So anyway, what do you think of Jed York, knowing that there's a leadership void and he doesn't have any leadership skills and he actually bailed on the team at halftime?
Well, first of all, with the biggest respect, I have to say that Jed York is a joke. I wrote it down sometimes here in Hungary, and I mean it, because if you are the CEO of a team, you have your own responsibilities. If you see the problems, what I see from the Eastern Europe, from Hungary, then you have to do something against them.
The heart of Europe, not Eastern Europe.
Thank you. So, yeah, you have to do something against it. The main thing, I think, that Jed just doesn't know what to do.
Agree.
Because
he has no expertise.
I would be surprised if he would know what football is exactly, what it's about, or something like that.
Right. Like if he were on this show, he probably couldn't keep up. He'd be like, Jed, just listen. Just listen to Botond, please. Yeah. Yeah. No, the thing is, like, someone in the comments was like, well, how do you know they didn't have a meeting the next day? That's too late. You're running out of time. You're 2-3. You got 7 days before your next game. Why are you going home? No one should go home. Stay at the stadium, figure it out. You got to find a solution now, not Monday. Now, unless you don't care.
Well, when I was playing here in Hungary, I played for the Budapest Eagles as well. We have the really good and kind owners, and they were there every match. They were in the locker room after match. We were like friends. We were like close friends when I was playing there. And although Hungary is just a little country and we have a little league of American football, I must say that that's something that Jed must learn to do, because if you have problems like the 49ers have right now, you don't have time just to think of it. You have to solve these problems right now if you want to talk about playoffs in some weeks later.
The interesting thing, and you may not be aware of this in the heart of Europe where you are, but in the Bay Area, almost everyone supports Jed York and makes excuses for him and apologizes for him. I mean, I'm talking fans, media, everyone. They're like afraid of this guy. He's very powerful. He's worth billions of dollars. He's controls a lot of the media organizations. They're partners with KNBR and NBC. People are afraid to say the truth around here with Jed York, and it's ridiculous. I mean, he bails on his team at halftime, and like 85% of the fan response is cool, good. And when I like say stuff like, well, what would Eddie D have done? Like 80% of the fan response is, who's to say Eddie D was a better owner than Jed? Who's to say Eddie D's style is any more grown up and professional than Jed's? Like, what's happened out here locally is amazing. There's been a full-on brainwashing where Jed has like an army of supporters. I don't know how anyone could look at that thing and think and empathize with that. I mean, there's nothing to feel empathy toward. I mean, he's rich, he's spoiled, he's bad at his job, and everyone out here is like, hey, we're being too hard on Jed. He means well, he's passionate. Like, nah, man, this guy is the worst owner in the Bay Area and one of the worst owners in the league. He's a little Dan Snyder. I don't know if that's the Washington football team coach. He's like 20 years younger.
Yeah.
So that's my rant.
Yeah, that's true. I must say that's true. Right now, how I see that is a football team should be a family, and the head of the family is the owner. If the owner just leads the family, then it tells everything about that family, because if he does that the family stinks from inside, even though they try to hide it. So
there's an expression in English called the fish rots from the head, and technically Jed York is the head. So he needs to stop rotting. He needs to freshen up a little bit. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the upcoming game. I'm picking the Niners to win, to beat the Rams. I also picked them to beat the Dolphins and the Eagles, and I'm not sure why I'm sticking with. Okay, I think that they have the running game to win this game. If they commit to it, they have it. But I don't know that they're going to commit to it. We just explained a conspiracy theory as to why Kyle Shanahan has gone away from the run game. So it's like if I were in the coach's room and I could know that Shanahan's game plan was on point, I would definitely pick the Niners with confidence, but I have no idea. I mean, they could come out passing again, and that's that. So what do you expect to see? Do you expect to see another disaster, or do you expect the Niners to actually turn this thing around?
Well, I know that I'm the negative Hungarian guy who always says bad things about the team. But honestly, I'm a faithful fan. So I must say that I expect us to win the game. Every time I said that this season, we lost.
They lost. Yeah. Yeah.
So when I wrote my preview for the Hungarian faithful, I just didn't wrote that down that I expect them to win. I think there are some key matchups. First of all, it's McVay against Saleh. and I think that will decide what will happen in the game. Because if our defense game plan just doesn't work, then Kyle will panic again. I expect him to get panicked again. If I don't,
he'll abandon the run if the defense is looking shaky. I'm totally with you. He'll panic. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
If I don't believe in our conspiracy, I would say that he will panic and we will turn into a passing team. And right now, it's the worst thing to do against the Rams because.
Oh my God, that defense is amazing.
Yeah.
Pass defense.
Yeah, the pass defense is amazing. The run defense is the 28th.
It's vulnerable. It's vulnerable. That's how you gotta go. So look, here's why I'm picking the Niners. Seems to me that they have the run game to pull this off. They really, really do. Mostert, McKinnon, the wide receivers, the tight ends, the fullbacks. I really think that if they have the right game plan, they can pull this off. But I just don't necessarily have confidence in Kyle to coach with the urgency he had last year, I guess. Yeah. But I guess here's what I would do if I were coaching this game. At the opening coin flip, if the Niners win it, I'm taking the ball. I'm not deferring. I want the ball first because I think the worst thing that can happen is to start the season, the game in a hole, to let them march down the field, the Rams, and score. You don't want to be 7-0 because Kyle's going to panic right there. Yeah. So you want the ball first. You want to establish the run first and score first. And you want the Niners defense on the bench as much as possible. That's the best place for the Niners defense in this game, on the bench, because they don't have the advantage over the Rams offense. They don't. So you control the ball, you control the time of possession. Every time you run the ball, clock keeps moving. If they can get an early lead, score first, and establish their run game, they win. So I don't know. I mean, the Niners they always defer. If I were them, I would keep it. I would want the ball.
Yeah, I think the same. We have to run the ball a lot. And if we are going through the middle of the field, if we are at the 40-yard line on the in the Rams territory, we have to think of 4 downs, not just 3. I don't think that we can put any pressure into Sean McVay when we just kicking field goals and not trying to go. So we have to play a high risk, high gain game right now because we've got nothing to lose right now.
Exactly.
So that's what I would do. And if the Rams defense players just couldn't breathe anymore, then we can try to play some fast-paced play-action passes, some slants, maybe some post corners, things that makes Jimmy comfortable right now. That's the
someone real quick in the comment section asked, why was there urgency from Shanny last year and not this year? I can answer that. What do you think, Botond? Money.
I have no
contract.
Yeah, money.
He was coaching for an extension last year. He wanted to get that extension. He was in a tough spot. I would consider it the hot seat in the sense that if he had another losing season, he might have gotten fired. I mean, 3 straight losing seasons to start your tenure, most guys get fired for that. So he had a lot to coach for. He wanted that extension. He got the extension. Now there's nothing to coach for other than the Super Bowl, which ain't happening this year. So there it is. Money's a pretty good motivator for most people.
That's motivator.
It's the best.
That's motivator.
And a lot of people in here are saying, Grant, you're not counting for the injuries on the team. No, I am. That is a decimated defense. So that's another reason why I would not defer. I would want to win the time of possession. I would want my offense on the field as much as possible because that unit really isn't banged up. I mean, Jimmy is a little bit, but he was a full participant in practice. So was Mostert. So was McKinnon. Except for Richburg, everyone's there. And they went to the Super Bowl without Richburg last year. So no excuses on offense. Get the ball to start the game. Don't put the game in Robert Saleh's hands, the defense's hands. That defense needs to be on the bench as much as possible because of the injuries.
Well, I have a lot of trust in Saleh because I think that he's a really wise guy and he understood while he was watching the games of McVay that the only way he can be successful against that offense is if he is going to switch his schemes a lot. Because if he does that, then he will put McVay into an uncomfortable position on the offense, because he had always, then he will always think what we will do next. Then he has to forget his game plan, and if you just can make him do that, then you can win this game.
I think Saleh did adjust pretty well to the Rams last year. Remember, the first time they played the Rams came out running, just like we said the Niners should. They had like an 8-play drive that was all runs and a touchdown.
All runs and TD, yeah.
Yeah, and Saleh adjusted and shut down the run game after that. In the second game, the whole first half was play action bootleg passes. Saleh adjusted, the Niners won. So I agree with you. I mean, he's always the one who gets crushed by the fan base, because the fans won't criticize Kyle. They won't criticize Jed. They won't criticize Jimmy. They love those guys. Those guys are precious and dear to their hearts. So you always throw the defensive coordinator under the bus. And it's like, really, he's the one with all the injuries on his unit, not Kyle.
Yeah.
Saleh's the one who lost his pass rush and his corners, and still has the unit playing well, except for the last game. So yeah, he is doing well.
Yeah, and
keep going.
Yep.
Keep going.
The other thing is, which is important, is the nickelback position right now, because I can't see who we put in there. I would put there maybe Ward and put back Harris into free safety position, but right now I know that Harris is it's not sure that he will play. But
I wouldn't put Taylor.
Yeah, that's not an option for me.
Because to me, he was just as bad as Brian Allen in that game. Yeah. Everyone's talking about Brian Allen, but Jamar Taylor was just as bad. Ward, I'd give him a shot maybe, but I would put Mosley in there. I've seen Mosley do it before. He did it in camp. He was good. Or Verrett, either one.
Okay, but if you put there Mosley, then you have to put into cornerback position Witherspoon.
That's right.
And
I actually trust Witherspoon more than Jamar Taylor, but neither one's a good option.
That's true, but
it's not a good option.
Have any trust in Witherspoon right now?
So I see what you're gonna say. Just bring Ward down and put like Tavarius Moore at free safety. That worked. And they did that against the Rams last year.
Yeah,
that's exactly what they did, and it worked because Cooper Kupp isn't super fast. Jimmy Ward's a better athlete than Cooper Kupp.
Way better athlete.
Way better athlete. All right, let's. This is the last topic we got, and then we'll let people go enjoy their Saturdays. What do you expect? How do you expect this season to play out? And this is an unfair question because it's a lot of projection. But I think we both agree if the Niners win this game and go 3-3, they could rally this season and maybe finish 8-8, 9-7, maybe make the playoffs. If they lose, they could go on a very long losing streak. So what do you see? I mean, I guess you're picking them to lose. So do you think that this is going to be like a worst case scenario, 4-12, 2018 type of year?
Well, in the worst case, I will expect 5-11 or something like that.
Ooh, yeah.
Nowadays, I don't see how we get into playoffs right now. Of course, if we will win the game against Rams, that will turn things around. Then I can believe again in this team. But it's in the hands of Kyle Shanahan right now. If he wants to take parts with Jimmy, then it is going to be a really, really long season with a lot of losses.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, then we all knew what he is capable of. I mean, if Kyle Shanahan puts his best onto the table, there's no one who can stop him. We can agree in that.
And that's basically the answer, the whole thing this year. When Shanahan's at his best, he's one of the best. He ain't at his best right now. And is like, is he going to? Or does he need to feel under the gun? Does he need to feel like he needs to go earn some money or prove himself? Man, that's too bad. I just feel like the whole season went off the rails when the Niners convinced themselves that losing a Super Bowl is an accomplishment. That's the problem. They told themselves that losing the Super Bowl was a great accomplishment, and they kind of like basked in the glory of their non-accomplishment all year and thought that they should be given the type of respect of a champion coming into the season. And now they ain't champions. They're 2-3, and they seem more concerned with the criticism they're getting than their record. They're being like, hey, like we were good last year. You guys turned on us all of a sudden. Dude, you guys are a team that had one good year. You've accomplished nothing. And you're not champions. And I think that's the Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah.
Like they thought they were going to be immortalized. And now they're just a 2-3 team that no one cares about.
Yeah. And that's the sad truth right now, because I don't know if you saw on Twitter what Kendrick Bourne has written on Twitter.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, man. Kendrick, you're not a champion, man. Take it in stride. Win the Super Bowl this year, and then you'll get the benefit of the doubt forever, and you'll eat for free in the Bay Area the rest of your life. But that's not who you guys are. You didn't accomplish anything. Losing the Super Bowl is not an accomplishment. I need to make a T-shirt out of that. Losing the Super Bowl is not an accomplishment. And I understand, like Jed felt like, well, you know, I didn't give Jim Harbaugh the extension after he went to the Super Bowl, and then look what happened there. So I can't win for losing. But the difference there is that Jim Harbaugh, when he got to the Super Bowl, was coming off his second consecutive winning season. And the next year he had another winning season and finally got fired for having an 8-8 year.
Yeah.
Kyle is starting to look like a one-off. I mean, he went to the Super Bowl and lost. Great. He had one winning season, and it's starting to look like it's going to be 1 out of 4, which is, I mean, Norv Turner territory. I don't know if you remember who Norv Turner is, but that was the original coordinator who failed as a head coach. And he got a lot of years in Washington in the 90s and really stunk. And then he got a lot of years in San Diego with the Chargers and didn't win jack. So curious to see if that's where Kyle Shanahan's going. He got paid for non-accomplishment. That's been the story of the 2020 49ers.
Yeah, and that thing is making a lot of problems in his players' heads. I mean, look at Mike McGlinchey, who is thinking that he's a decent pass blocker in the league.
No, dude.
I was like shocked there. So I just sat in front of my monitor, and I just couldn't imagine that this could happen. So these guys are sitting wrong way on the horse right now.
Anyway, I just feel like the Niners came in at a mental disadvantage this season. Like they talk about the Super Bowl hangover, they played into it, but the season isn't over. They're 2-3. Maybe this is the slap in the face they needed to wake up. And again, if they win this game against the Rams, who's to say they can't go on a run? They really do have the run game to keep them competitive against any team. They just haven't used the run game yet. So I think I'm not writing them off. I think I do have respect in Kyle. I have a lot of critiques for Kyle and Robert Saleh and Jimmy Garoppolo, but I also respect them. And I think that they're good enough to figure out a way to go 8-8 this year even with the injuries. I have no respect for Jed York. I mean, like, I feel like what Jed York did on Sunday puts my whole shtick in perspective, because I'm always dumping on Jimmy and Kyle, but I respect them. They've accomplished things in life. They're not perfect, but I certainly respect them. I have no respect for Jed York. And for him to think that those two are beneath him is the ultimate joke, because they're so far beyond what Jed York will ever, ever, ever be. And he should know that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's true. I just can't add anything to it.
These are
all right, guys, as well.
I just wish Niner fans would hold him a little bit more accountable, Jed, because I feel like they're all a bunch of Jed enablers. And if they made it more clear that they were just sick and tired of him and not Trent Baalke or anyone below him, but him, I think the parents would get the picture. Yeah. But keep going.
The other thing that I have forgot, and we talked about it before we started this time, is that I wanted to talk about Witherspoon.
Oh, let's talk about Akella.
Because when I heard why he didn't start it last time, I was like, okay, I go back and play some American football again, because I'm so angry right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, here in Hungary, to play American football, you have to buy your own stuff. You have to pay monthly to be a part of the team. You have to buy your own jersey.
Oh, wow.
I have to say that, and it's true for most of Europe, that European guys like me would give an arm or two
to play
a single snap in the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, I've never been a pro. There's no pro league here in Hungary, even though we have some TV shows when you can watch American football matches. This is just a semi-pro league. And there were times when I've got hurt, when I have ankle sprains in both of my ankles, but there wasn't a thing that could stop me to get back on track in 2 weeks, get onto my team, and if I can help them to win matches, then I would do everything to have them win matches. And you know, the worst thing that Akello did was that he wasn't like that. I mean, after a Super Bowl loss, you expect these guys to be brothers, or at least
good point,
close friends. And
right,
that's a thing that you don't do with your close friends.
Abandon them.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I don't got it today. Oh wait, just kidding. Here I am. I'm the hero. Nah, man, you're not the hero. You're the reason we're in this position. Thanks for showing up. Yeah. And one final thing about Akello, which I think is interesting. Let's talk from Jed York's perspective real quick, because he has a perspective here too, and Kyle's messing up. From Jed York's perspective, he looks at Akello and Jimmy in that game. I'm sure he was thinking this as he drove out at halftime. He's thinking, two guys, Kyle Shanahan had to watch extra closely in practice this week. Jimmy Garoppolo and Akello Witherspoon. Both going to be game time decisions. You had 3 days to watch them. You decided Jimmy was healthy enough to play and Akello Witherspoon wasn't. You were wrong on both accounts. How do you do that? You had one job. Watch them. I could see Jed saying that. And you know what? He has a point. Yeah. He's got a point there. So, yeah. Kyle.
I don't think that he asked that question.
Matt Mayoko asked that question on Monday, and it was probably the best question he's ever asked. And I wonder where he got it. What was I going to say? There's one more thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe I forgot. We're talking about Kello. We're talking about Jed.
Playoff chances. I don't know.
I don't want to give it up, though, because it was a good thing. It was about Kello and practice and Jed and Kyle. Oh, okay. Here's the thing with Kyle. Finally, leadership. What he has to understand is that being a head coach is more than drawing up the next gadget play. He draws up great gadget plays, and it's not like the next 20-yard pass is going to save this team. What Kyle needs to do is look at his players, have a better pulse. See, this was a good point. I'm glad I stuck with it. Dude, stop looking at your play sheet, at your notebook. Look at Akello. Is he healthy enough to play? The answer is yes. You got it wrong. Is Jimmy healthy enough to play? The answer is no. The next gadget play isn't going to save this season, dude. You got to take off the offensive coordinator hat, because Kyle Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, isn't going to save a thing. Kyle Shanahan, the head coach, is going to save this season. And right now, he hasn't put the head coaching hat on. He could this week. But if he comes out and he's in the shotgun week, play one and throws, forget it. They're going to lose. It's over. Kyle Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, is taking over, and there is no head coach on this team. That's how I see it.
Well, that's true, but I think there's a way how Kai can stay an offense coordinator as a head coach, and how he shouldn't care more about his players. But to do that, you have to hire someone to help you out with things like that. For example, why you just don't call Joe Staley? That's Joe. Hey, please, I'm sorry, I need your help right now.
Yeah.
You played with these guys last year. You are one of the greatest 49ers players ever.
I think what we're learning about Kyle is we thought that he had built a culture here and that he was a leader. But I think really he leaned on Joe Staley and Richard Sherman tremendously to be the leaders. And Emmanuel Sanders last year was an instant leader on the team. And now that those three guys are gone, Buckner as well. Let's be real clear. DeForest Buckner was a bona fide leader in this league and still is. Those four guys are gone, and it's on Kyle now because Kittle isn't he's growing into it. Fred Warner's 24. Eric Armstead has no interest. Trent Williams has no interest. It's got to be Kyle. And, he's, I guess, growing into it too. He's just something he hasn't done before in his life. So, him and Kittle need to step up. And Kittle talked about it. He's like, I've never been a leader. I'm learning. I'm calling Joe. So he's doing the right things. I wonder if Kyle's calling Joe too.
That was the cutest thing that
It was the cutest thing of all time, dude. It's so endearing.
Yeah.
God, I love both of those guys.
Yeah.
All right, Botond. I think we've done it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
I think we've given 49er fans enough negativity that they can just go cry the rest of their Saturday afternoon.
I hope so.
Now, this is just the realness. What he said last week was 100% true, and you gotta hear this, guys, because you can't live in this Jed York fantasy land that everything's gonna be okay because Jed wants it to be. I'm sorry. This is the team you root for. Botond, thank you so much. We'll do it again next Saturday at 10:30. What do you say?
Okay, thanks for
7:30 your side. Whatever. Was it like 12 in the? Was it 2 in the morning over there? No.
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
All right. Well, say hello to the heart of Europe for me.
Okay. Szevasztok, srácok! Köszi, hogy néztetek minket, fantasztikusak vagytok, szeretünk benneteket. Legyen egy nagyon szép szombatotok, és nagyon várom a holnapi mérkőzést. Holnap találkozunk, ha máshogy nem, online. Sziasztok!
I completely agree. What he said. All right, man. See you next week.
See you!